Is this okay, folks?
If you want the microphone.
I have a pretty loud voice. Okay. I like. Most people want to know why me? Why am I doing this? And so I like to tell the story of how this happened, and it's a short story, and it's a good segue into Vince, who's going to elaborate and it hopefully, and I'm sure, enthrall you with his story. But
only 8 people.
yes, you are.
I'm just going
You're going to be.
a little conversation. I'm not going to get up there like a prosecutor, okay?
I'll
tell them a little bit, okay?
I count over 8.
There's so few people here.
Anyway, you got to get used to Vermont. Vermont audiences are not huge. But anyway, here's the point.
We talk a lot to each other.
Yes.
We will talk to a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're going out to the world.
I just don't want, I'm not going to get up there and orate tonight. With
Oh, okay.
all those people.
Oh, all right.
But I'm happy to be here, and I'm honored to be here, but...
But this is going on YouTube, so.
This goes out
you
there.
don't necessarily have to put it on YouTube, do you?
Why not?
YouTube's good.
Because you're running for Attorney General, you're doing a great thing, and there should be a heck of a lot of people here tonight encouraging you and cheering you on. And it doesn't,
He's more disappointed than I am, but I think
I'm diplomatic. She's running for office, I'm not.
I believe in the power of the internet, YouTube, and so on. So I'm not particularly phased yet. That makes sense.
Public access TV, this is going to be put on too, so.
Yeah. And probably what we should do is you guys edit all that.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, okay. So the story is that I had decided to run for Attorney General on the Progressive Party. They urged me to run because I'm an attorney and I'm a progressive. And they wanted to run a full slate of candidates, so I agreed. And about 2 weeks later, a friend of mine put this book, the Prosecution of George W. Bush, into my hands because she knew that I, as an investigative journalist, I'd be very interested in it because he establishes in the book the evidence for why George W. Bush should be prosecuted for murder. And he will get into that very soon. Then the other part was when I started reading the legal framework, and as I started to read it, I came to this one sentence which said, any attorney general or any state's attorney in any of the 50 states can do this. And so when I read that, my heart skipped a beat, and then I started thinking, and I thought, my God, let's see now, I'm a Vermonter. And being a Vermonter is very, very important, I believe, because we're a very unusual state. We like to take the lead on things. We're very independent. We're great with civil rights and standing up to injustice. And I thought, so what would be a more perfect venue than if this were to happen in Vermont? So that occurred to me. Another thing that occurred to me was that there are more deaths per capita in Vermont of our fine soldiers that were sent to war under false pretenses. And so Vermonters have paid disproportionately for this war. So that was another thought. A third thought was the fact that we had 36 towns vote in town meeting day for impeachment. And we have Dan DeWalt and his organizers to thank for that. There's the whole history in Brattleboro, the news that went around the world about Brattleboro citizens would arrest Bush if he stepped foot. That went all over the world, and Kurt Dames did a lot on that issue. So, Vermont is a place ripe for this to happen, and I was intrigued by that. Then you combine that with the fact that I have been an investigative journalist, and I do care deeply about justice. I also have a background in the Middle East. I've been a reporter there, so I've been very offended by how this war was handled. And one thing you know, if you know a lot about the Middle East, is you do not send troops in as if you're hitting a sledgehammer over the people of Iraq. It's going to create all sorts of problems, and we've seen that that's what's happened. So for all those reasons, I decided to step forward. And The next thing is that I was so impressed with Vincent Bugliosi's book. I mean, clearly, if we're going to try to do this, we need someone very serious to do the prosecution. And when I found that Vince was actually coming to the East Coast at the very time I was making this decision, we sat and talked, and I became quite convinced that we were going to make a great team. He then came, he was going to a war crimes conference in Andover. We met there, then he came up to Vermont and sat with me while I made my announcement. So, and we've been a team ever since. He went off and did some interviews around the country, but he has come back and he is going to stay with me for as long as it takes, he says. If it means staying in Vermont for the rest of the next 2 weeks, he will do that. So I will now turn it over to a man who I greatly admire, probably the best prosecutor in the country, and a man who feels very passionately about this subject. He is the real deal, folks. And so now I turn you over to Vince.
Let me say that